Hey friend, welcome to the 12 Days of Christmas brought to you by MARKINC Ministries. My name is Chuck Betters, and we are, during these 12 days before Christmas, we are reading stories, telling stories that you have sent us about the heartache and the pain and the questions and the doubts and the shadow of death that you're walking through, so that we can answer this question, Sharon. Why do we do what we're doing? This is day number 8 of the 12 Days of Christmas. Why do we do what we do?
Well, as I've said before, that's such a good question, Chuck. We ask that question a lot as a team because we want to make sure we're staying focused on what God has called us to do. And what He has called us to do and compelled us to do is to offer the help and hope of the gospel in every way possible. And we are privileged to do that through the platform of MARKINC Ministries. And as Chuck has said, we're getting closer to Christmas, and some of you are really heartbroken. And I want to just share with you that the first Christmas without our son, Mark, we spent a lot of time in the Word. We spent a lot of time being still at His feet, crying out to Him, lamenting and listening and soaking up the power of the gospel. And I want to encourage you to do that, to take some time by yourself again and again in His Word and let Him touch you with his heart. We think of people like us all the time and through our resources. And this particular note that we got is it's heartbreaking in many ways, but it shows a need that we have that we can meet through the gospel. This person, in response to the question, does God view adopted children the same as biological child? This person says, as an adopted child, now in my 50s, I clicked on this with a few nerves. I thank you for your sensitive response to the question. To anyone contemplating adopting a child, I encourage you with the caveat that you love them as they need to be loved. I was very different in personality from both my adopted parents and did not feel loved in an austere, undemonstrative household. I needed hugs and verbal affirmation, but got physical detachment and criticism. But God be praised, He chose me, coming to me when I needed Him most, changing my despair into a loving connection. I know I will see Him someday, and it will be even more amazing. And, Chuck, it just is heartbreaking because we have adopted children in our family. But I also want to tell you that we also have resources specifically about adoption on our website at markinc.org and our Help and Hope podcast, where you can subscribe to these stories. But if you are struggling with adoption, I would urge you to go there and check out those resources. And this is why we do what we do.
You know, the greatest person who ever lived, who gave redemption, offered redemption to His people, died on the cross, spent 3.5 years in a dark and fallen world where He was treated like dirt, treated as an enemy, strung up on the cross. That greatest person who ever lived, the Lord Jesus Christ, absolutely perfect in every way, fully God, fully man, was adopted. Jesus was adopted. Out of all the forms He could have taken, He could have come as a king, He could have come as an heir, He could have come as a prince, He could have come in almost any form that is imaginable to us. He chose to be adopted by a teenage girl whose body He used to become a man, and a frightened carpenter who didn't really fully understand everything that was going on. Mary and Joseph adopted this baby. And then they watched Him die on a cross. Can you imagine what Mary felt? Apparently Joseph was already dead by that time. Here she is standing at the foot of the cross as a widow. And her son is hanging there in strips. His body stripped to shreds. His hands and feet nailed to a cross. Can you imagine the pain, the heartache she was going through? She didn't realize fully at the time that Jesus would return from the dead. and conquer sin and conquer death. But that's what he did. That's why we cannot forget the line between Christmas and Easter. One is meaningless without the other. He came as a baby into a dark world. He went to a cross where darkness reigned. And then he came out of the grave 3 days later to offer hope and joy. And he was adopted, an adopted individual. That's what he chose. That's what he chose for Moses. If you remember the parallel in the Old Testament, Moses was adopted. There's no shame in adoption. There's no weird sense that we're supposed to have because we're adopted. We're all adopted as Christians into the family of God. That's how we get in. We get in because Christ adopts us. We don't deserve it. We didn't earn it, but he offers it to all who believe in him. We are all adopted individuals, and we offer help. We offer hope to people who are struggling with their identity to discover that identity in the Lord Jesus Christ. Sharon, I'm thankful for that question, but I'm also thankful that this person's helping us answer the question of why we do what we do.